Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel Bold and Beautiful today.
Ridge's disclosure and decision, is it Taylor or Brooke? Ridge Forrester should be honest with his loved ones and himself. In this instance, Taylor Hayes and Brooke Logan are directly in question. For decades, Ridge has alternated between these two beautiful but low-esteem women. He needs to make a decision and follow it. It's time to make a decision, and we believe we know who he will choose, do you? To find out, continue reading. Tridge vs. Bridge. Taylor forces Ridge into a difficult situation by popping the question during the week of June 23rd to 27th. Is the air tinged with desperation? Ridge and Taylor have been on the same marital roller coaster as Ridge and Brooke. Additionally, Ridge consistently betrays his commitment to his wife by choosing option B. What is Ridge's reaction to receiving an ultimatum? First and foremost, he needs to exercise caution because Taylor has a history of heart problems. He must gently disappoint her if he says no, else broken heart syndrome will reappear. Ridge has an option. Ridge might also play it sly and explain that he doesn't think a ring is necessary and that everything is good the way it is. In this instance, we anticipate that he will propose an engagement, allowing Taylor to arrange a lavish wedding while he spends more time with Brooke. Ridge may also simply refuse. His expression after being asked to be a groom is not one of ecstasy, according to the weekly preview video for the show. Will Taylor be let down by Ridge? Ridge is going to tell Brooke everything he decided. However, before Snoopy when Nick Marone sees Tridge at Il Giardino, he notifies Brooke first. After that, Brooke confronts Ridge, and amazingly, he comes clean. Brooke is incredibly confused. Will Ridge admit that the only reason he has remained with Taylor is because of her broken heart syndrome? Knowing that a simple yes or no response could cause someone to faint at any moment is difficult. There is a hint of a separation between Ridge and Taylor in explosive show spoilers. We are aware that Bridge finds each other irresistible once they get in Italy. That's not to say Taylor won't break up with Ridge if she doesn't feel he's interested in her. Stay tuned for all the details as Ridge and Taylor's love story is about to undergo a rewrite. In the grand, glittering, scandal-ridden history of the bold and the beautiful, few love triangles have captured the hearts, exhausted the minds, and tested the patience of fans like the enduring entanglement between Ridge Forrester, Brooke Logan, and Taylor Hayes. For decades, this trio has danced a dizzying waltz of passion, betrayal, healing, and heartbreak. Ridge, sometimes suave, often stubborn, and always conflicted, has ping-ponged between two women who, despite their many strengths and successes, have repeatedly staked their happiness on a man who has never truly known what he wants. Now, as the latest plot twist threatens to upend their fragile status quo once again, Ridge faces a moment of reckoning. It's time for him to look in the mirror, search his soul, and finally make a lasting choice. Will it be the ever-devoted Brooke, the mother of his child and his so-called destiny, or the nurturing Taylor, the woman he's married, divorced, and mourned with more times than we can count? With Taylor popping a surprise proposal and Brooke swirling back into Ridge's emotional orbit with the force of a summer storm, we ask, what does Ridge really want, and more importantly, who does he truly love? Let's be honest, this isn't Ridge's first rodeo when it comes to choosing between Taylor and Brooke. Since the late 1980s, this triangle has been a defining thread in the fabric of the show. Ridge, born of fashion dynasty and shaped by privilege, has always had a flair for drama, but his emotional flakiness has often masked itself as passion. With Taylor, the connection was initially rooted in healing and trust. She was his balm after betrayals. A psychiatrist by profession, she often served as his emotional compass, soothing his wounds and giving him a place to rest. Yet, despite their bond, Ridge's heart has never been able to sever itself from Brooke, the original forbidden fruit, the Logan outsider who clawed her way into Forrester fame and Ridge's heart. Their chemistry is volcanic. Their history is stained with adultery, remarriages, misunderstandings, and moments of redemptive romance that fans still talk about today. They're the quintessential soap supercouple, beautiful, flawed, toxic, magnetic. But Ridge has never been able to stay loyal to one for long. He tells Brooke she's his destiny, yet ends up in Taylor's bed. He promises Taylor she's the calm to his storm, then loses himself in Brooke's embrace. And through it all, the women, fierce in their own rights, have allowed themselves to be caught in his web, too often accepting the scraps of his indecision. Now, with Taylor pressing for a decision by proposing to Ridge, the script has flipped. Ridge is cornered, and he doesn't have the luxury of time or ambiguity. This isn't about vague promises or someday maybes, this is about choosing a future. The week of June 23rd to 27th promises to deliver fireworks. Taylor, weary of Ridge's emotional teetering and bolstered by her recent personal growth, makes a bold move and proposes marriage. On the surface, it's romantic. But scratch that glossy soap veneer, and there's a layer of desperation. It's hard not to see this as a last-ditch effort, a gamble to finally solidify her place in Ridge's life after years of playing second fiddle to Brooke. And Ridge's reaction? Well, the man who's worn more tuxedos at the altar than most people wear suits to work doesn't exactly look thrilled. According to early teasers, Ridge's expression upon hearing Taylor's proposal is one of panic, not joy. The weight of history, obligation, and emotional guilt suddenly becomes suffocating. Because how can Ridge respond? If he says yes, it's a lie wrapped in good intentions. If he says no, he risks Taylor's emotional collapse, and possibly even a medical emergency. Let's not forget, Taylor has a delicate heart, both literally and figuratively. And Ridge knows it. He's watched her struggle, heal, relapse, and recover. The guilt of potentially being the man who triggers another heartbreak, literally and metaphorically, is immense. But should Ridge's decision be based on fear of hurting Taylor rather than love for her? It's a cruel conundrum. Staying to protect her only delays the inevitable. But fleeing risks devastation. And amid all this chaos, Brooke looms in the background like a specter from his past, ever ready, ever willing to pick up the pieces of Ridge's broken promises. And Brooke isn't sitting idly by. No stranger to drama herself, Brooke learns about the proposal thanks to the ever-watchful Nick Marone, who spots Ridge and Taylor sharing an intimate moment at Il Giardino. True to form, Brooke confronts Ridge, demanding honesty, and for once, he gives it to her. Ridge, possibly tired of running, confesses everything. Not just the proposal, but the truth behind his hesitations. He admits to feeling trapped. He confides that his heart isn't fully in it. He tells her, in no uncertain terms, that if it weren't for Taylor's fragility, he might not even be with her at all. This confession hits Brooke like a tidal wave. After years of vying for Ridge's love, often to her own detriment, here he is, laying bare the emotional limbo he's been living in. But what does Brooke do with this confession? Does she gloat? Pull him in for a kiss? Demand that he end things with Taylor immediately and recommit to her? Surprisingly, no. This time, Brooke takes a different approach. She steps back. She tells Ridge to figure out what he wants, not for her, not for Taylor, but for himself. It's a moment of maturity rarely seen from Brooke, and it shakes Ridge to his core. For the first time, the two women aren't fighting over him. They're asking him to grow up and take ownership of his heart. As the plot heads to Italy, land of love, art, and sweeping romance, the stakes have never been higher. Spoilers suggest that something big is coming. Whether it's a final bridge reunion or a Tridge implosion, it's clear that Ridge's choice will have permanent consequences. If he picks Brooke, it can't be another rebound. It has to be the last time. No more wavering, no more nostalgia-fueled flings. If he picks Taylor, he must give her all of himself, mind, body, and heart, not just sympathy and comfort. The fans deserve closure. The characters deserve peace. For Ridge, the real question is, who is he without the triangle? What does love mean when it's not framed by comparison or crisis? Can he learn to commit in a real way, or is he doomed to repeat the cycle of emotional boomeranging? These are the questions the bold and the beautiful seems ready to answer, finally. Maybe Ridge will stand on a mountaintop in Florence and declare his love. Maybe he'll get cold feet and flee. Maybe both women will walk away, choosing self-respect over another merry-go-round ride. No matter what happens, Ridge's next move will define not just his future, but the legacy of one of soap opera's most iconic love stories. So, is it Brooke or Taylor? Based on the rumblings, subtle clues, and that undeniable look Ridge gives Brooke in the weekly preview clip, it seems the pendulum is swinging once again toward Ridge. But this time, it's not just about passion, it's about truth. Ridge's confession might just be the catalyst that brings this decades-long saga to its final, definitive chapter. The real surprise? It might not be who Ridge picks, it might be who he becomes when he finally chooses. Taylor suggests, Daphne coerces, and Luna is duped. The Deception of Luna Nozawa by Will Spencer. Daphne Rose is under pressure from Steffi Forrester Finnegan. In addition, Taylor Hayes asks Ridge Forrester to marry him. Let's discuss the upcoming events in the CBS soap opera as you continue reading. Taylor Hayes proposes. Let's start with Taylor, who will feel uneasy and shaken following her conversation with Brooke Logan. The blonde claimed that the sailor loves the sea when Taylor inquired about Nick Marone. Brooke simply had to point out to Taylor that Ridge was envious. Taylor's next action will appear to be quite desperate. Taking a seat at a little table. Taylor declares her intention to wed Ridge. Taylor then acknowledges that she hopes he feels the same way. Ridge appears to be in an awkward situation, though, based on the expression on his face. The intel of Nick Marone. Nick appears to be present when Taylor pops the question. It's Nick who goes to break the news to Brooke. The blonde is obviously taken aback, but she asks Nick what Ridge said. I saw Brooke confront Ridge regarding Taylor's suggestion. Although his heart may not be in it, I could also see Ridge consenting to marry Taylor. He may be with Taylor out of remorse over broken heart syndrome, but for now, he's all about honoring his commitment. June 23, 2025, week. Sheila Carter Sharp's reflections on the Spencer men's betrayal will also be seen by fans. The grandmother may recall the day Bill pretended to be in love with her. The apple doesn't seem to fall very far from the tree. Will informs Luna that he's split from Electra Forrester, who he finds uninteresting. Then he says he enjoys danger. Will's expression is stony, even contemptuous, as Luna begins to try to kiss him. This suggests that Will may be deceiving Luna in order to gain her trust and extract a confession. Spoilers for the next 2 weeks of The Bold and the Beautiful. Luna may discover that Will is deceiving her during the week of June 30th. That can result in her committing other crimes or perhaps fleeing. Steffi Forrester Finnegan might demand that Daphne return in the interim. Steffi was able to persuade Carter Walton to bring the nose back to Los Angeles after her phone call didn't go well. Could Carter persuade Daphne to return if he calls or texts her? Brooke will begin to give Nick's suggestion careful thought in the interim. If Ridge marries Taylor, that might push Brooke to move on. In the opulent, ever-twisting world of Los Angeles' elite, where love, lies, and legacies entwine, the city's most powerful families were once again at the precipice of emotional implosion. Taylor Hayes had barely caught her breath after her confrontation with Brooke Logan when she made a decision that could alter the course of 3 lives forever. The words Brooke chose had been sharp, veiled under the faux politeness of a woman who once loved the same man and still bore the scars. Taylor had asked casually about Nick Marone, her on-again, off-again flame whose unpredictable passion once brought a spark to her orderly life. But Brooke, ever the manipulator behind a veneer of charm, brushed off the inquiry with a smirk, saying Nick was far too busy sailing the world, loving the sea more than any woman could match. Then, with deliberate cruelty, Brooke had added a dagger of commentary, "It's funny, Taylor, but Ridge still seems jealous whenever Nick comes up." Strange, don't you think? That remark lit a fire in Taylor's chest, a mix of humiliation and fear that Ridge would always hold a candle for Brooke. Determined to reclaim her future and assert control over her destiny, Taylor made the boldest move of her life. That evening, in the elegant, sun-drenched terrace of the Forrester mansion, Taylor arranged a quiet dinner with Ridge. It was intimate, understated, a tiny round table adorned with a single white rose and flickering candles, representing simplicity amidst the storm of their shared past. Ridge, distracted and oddly silent, sipped his wine as Taylor's hands trembled beneath the table. Finally, she exhaled deeply and locked eyes with the man who had been both her salvation and her tormentor. "Ridge," she said softly, her voice cracking ever so slightly, "I want to marry you." The air grew still. Ridge's brow furrowed, not in joy but hesitation. Taylor continued, her words desperate yet sincere. "I'm not asking for fairy tales. I just want to build something real, something lasting. Do you feel the same way?" The silence stretched into an eternity. Ridge's lips parted as if to answer, but before he could speak, the sound of footsteps interrupted the moment. Nick Marone had arrived unexpectedly, tan, windblown, and casually dressed in a deep blue linen shirt, bringing with him the salty essence of the sea and news that would ripple through the Forrester empire. He saw the awkward scene and didn't miss a beat. Later that night, Nick found himself in Brooke's kitchen, recounting the moment. "Taylor asked Ridge to marry her," he said, watching Brooke's face pale. "You should have seen Ridge, he looked like he'd been handed a loaded gun." Brooke's eyes widened, her mind racing. "Did he say yes?" Nick shrugged. "He didn't say no." But his silence, it was loud. The next day, Brooke confronted Ridge at Forrester Creations, accusing him of betraying his heart. "You can't marry Taylor out of guilt," she warned, her voice trembling. "That's not love, Ridge. That's penance." Meanwhile, across town, Luna Nozawa was falling headfirst into a meticulously woven trap. The charming yet icy Will Spencer had returned to Los Angeles after a brief breakup with Electra Forrester, whom he labeled as boring and predictable. He told Luna he was looking for someone wild, someone real. Luna, desperate to escape the suffocating expectations of her family, leaned in closer. She had always been drawn to danger, the idea of it, not the reality, and Will knew exactly how to use that against her. "I want you, Luna," he said, brushing a strand of hair from her face, his voice low and enticing. But when she kissed him, his lips remained still, cold. His eyes didn't close, they watched her like a hawk studies its prey. Something wasn't right. Later, Will reported back to an unknown contact, his voice devoid of empathy. "She's cracking. 1 or 2 more meetings, and she'll confess everything." Unbeknownst to Luna, Will had been working with someone behind the scenes, perhaps even Steffi herself, who had grown increasingly suspicious about Luna's involvement in the Forrester archives leak. Or maybe it was Bill Spencer, pulling strings for motives of his own. Regardless, Luna's flirtation with danger had become a noose tightening around her neck. During the week of June 30th, everything came to a head. Luna discovered Will's tablet in his car, unlocked and humming. Inside were audio recordings, transcriptions, and emails detailing her every move, all dated, all damning. She barely had time to process the betrayal before her phone buzzed with an alert, "Do not go home. They know." Panicked, Luna bolted from her apartment, disappearing into the night. Will reported her disappearance immediately, spinning the story that she was mentally unstable, that she confessed to something but ran before he could help her. But it was all lies. Luna was now a fugitive, and the streets of LA were no longer a safe place for her. While the Luna crisis unfolded, Steffi Forrester Finnegan was orchestrating her own operation to retrieve the one woman who could help her understand what was going on, Daphne Rose. Daphne had vanished weeks ago, refusing to answer texts, avoiding social media, and rejecting every call from Steffi. Their last conversation had ended in shouting, with Daphne accusing Steffi of using her as a pawn and Steffi retaliating with threats of exposure. But now, Steffi was desperate. She believed Daphne held the key to unraveling the mysterious data breaches plaguing Forrester Creations. After another failed phone call, Steffi sat down with Carter Walton, explaining the situation in hushed tones. "She knows something, Carter. Something big. But she won't talk to me." Carter, ever the peacemaker, agreed to help. Using only initials and a burner phone, he texted Daphne late at night, "They're coming for you next. Meet me." The cryptic message was enough. A week later, Daphne appeared in Los Angeles, thinner, haunted, but fiercely alert. Her meeting with Steffi was held behind locked doors. Voices raised. Papers slammed. Then silence. When the door finally opened, Steffi emerged with an expression that was neither victory nor defeat, just shock. Daphne had revealed everything. She had been part of a hidden consortium manipulating digital fashion analytics to influence global trends, using Forrester data as a blueprint. The buyers' preferences, sales spikes, inventory timing, all of it had been subtly redirected for months. And Luna? She had been the fall girl, unknowingly used as the delivery system for stolen code.